You're watching E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob, and welcome back to the top 5 section as we continue to rank the Infinity Saga movies. In this video, we're going to go through numbers 18 through 14. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to E.T.N for regular content, and be sure to like and share this video as it helps the channel a great deal. So before we start, we will recap last week's rankings. At 23, we had Thor: The Dark World. 22 was The Incredible Hulk. 21 was Captain Marvel. Number 20 was Iron Man 2. And rounding out these bottom 5, at number 19 was The Avengers: Age of Ultron. So this week, we kick things off with number 18, Ant-Man and the Wasp. While this was a decent movie and still had the charm and lightheartedness of the first movie, those same elements were just not nearly as strong. The Wasp, on one hand, was a great addition to be highlighted more, but it was unfortunately at the expense of the Ant-Man, coupled with yet another villain who, while somewhat compelling, was easily forgettable. Then throw in the fact that they were on a mission to find Hank Pym's wife, the movie just had too much going on at once. It's certainly not a bad movie, and definitely fun, but not nearly as good as the original. All the elements within this movie tried to make Ant-Man a bigger movie than it should have been, and not capitalize on what they did well the first movie, which was keep it very small and centered to Scott Lang. Number 17, Thor. Thor was a good, albeit simple introduction to the character. These were the days when Thor was a bit too serious and not very clever. However, the character's grown a lot since and has become more humorous. It was a good movie, just not great, but certainly not bad. Looking back on this movie from more recent ones like Ragnarok, you could argue that Marvel has a little bit more confidence in investing in the character's solo movies, and Chris Hemsworth has a lot to do with that as he's taken the role into his own, and Marvel has allowed him to stretch his legs throughout the years. It's an interesting movie to revisit now if you haven't seen it in a while, as the character and even Hemsworth himself have changed a lot over the last 6 years or so, and it's changed for the better. Number 16, Captain America. Should I just say ditto on this one, comparing it to number 17? Difference being is that this one has a bit more heart and you root for Captain all the way through. He's initially doubted because of his size, then he's looked upon as a lab rat who is making money for sponsors until he takes his fate into his own hand. Comparing it to Civil War and Winter Soldier, it is easy to argue that this is the weaker one of the three, but that doesn't make it bad. And not only is it not bad, it's necessary in Cap's trilogy as they revisit events that took place in this movie so that you better understand the character. It's a great time period piece and awesome introduction to a classic Marvel character. It just doesn't have quite the swagger the next two movies in the series do. Number 15, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. The only reason this movie is not nearly as good as the first one is because it loses the emotional grip while keeping the lightheartedness. What makes the first movie so good is that you get the funny antics, sure, but you also get the ragtag group of people building a relationship that pulls you in emotionally. Maybe it's not the movie's fault since at this point, they're an established team. Still, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is a strong follow-up, but the gaps in it compared to the first one are clear, and I don't think that could have been helped. They do manage to capture a similar moment in this movie at the end that reminds you why we love the series and this movie. And while many should know by now what that moment is, just in case you haven't seen it, I won't spoil it here. In the end, the movie's very good and it's a lot of fun. And while not as good as the first one, I wouldn't recommend you skip out on it. Number 14, Ant-Man. Another surprise movie by Marvel. It's small in scale, no pun intended, compared to some of its MCU brother and sister movies. But what it lacks in gravitas, it makes up for with charm, wit, and family values. Ant-Man won me over because of Scott Lang's desire to do the right thing and try to get his daughter back. And while he makes one bad decision, again, desperately trying to make an income to hold up his end, this one decision would change his life. The zero to hero story is always fun and charming, and Lang being the underdog makes you root for him more. Still troubled by one-off uninspiring villains is the one criticism I have for this movie. Sensing a theme here? But it's hard not to love Lang and his ragtag crew of rejects who rise to the occasion along with him, with Lang winning out in the end, earning the respect of his ex and enjoying his time with his daughter. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comment section how you would rank these movies. What is your overall ranking of the Infinity Saga up to this point? As I mentioned earlier in the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, as next week we're going to continue this list as we go from numbers 13 to numbers 9 and continue the Infinity Saga movie countdown, and also like and share this video. Until next time, this is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.